You are listening to the Lance J Radio Show on Advent Sports Network.
He does have a very, very, very high skill level.
All right, man. Hey, no doubt, man. Appreciate it. You know you're my man. So
I knew that it was good.
The experience was just nothing less than legendary and epic and great to me.
Alondray Rogers does a lot of coaching in the Memphis area. Had a very good basketball career as a player. Played college basketball at the Division I level. What is it like coaching men? Basketball, you don't see a lot of women coaching men's basketball teams. You see women coaching women's basketball teams, but you see the barriers being broken. You see that there's several women that are now reffing in the NBA. You see that Greg Popovich, coach of the San Antonio Spurs, 5-time champion of the NBA, was the first coach to have a woman as an assistant coach on an NBA team. So ultimately, you're going to see a female coach an NBA team. What is that dynamic like? You work with young boys, but you also work with adult males. How do you establish the respect and dominance that a coach needs to establish to get the job done?
It's funny that you asked me that. When I first became a part of coaching the men, I was kind of terrified, mainly because I've always respected the fact that a man is almost not over a woman, but we more or less listen to the men more or less than vice versa. Mm-hmm. So when I got started with it, I just gave them what I thought, the idea of how a man should carry themselves while they're playing this game. I was looking and seeing how most people, when you see like the NBAs and different things, you see guys get upset and mad. They want to retaliate. They want to fight. They want to cuss people out. And I was trying to explain, listen, it doesn't take all that. Let our young people see that there's a man that can play the game, even though someone might push him or even though someone might swing at him, that it takes a big man to walk away and not retaliate, because it's not going to solve anything. So with that, I was saying that people can respect you more if they see that you can play this game and don't get so upset like everybody else, because it's almost like everybody follow what everybody else does. It's like a norm. So I'm like, I took what I knew as being a Christian woman to let them know, what would you do if Christ was standing next to you? You're going to respect them. So have respect for yourself. And let a person see that you can play this game without getting upset and getting mad and playing. Let a person respect you. And so when I start explaining it to some of my guys that way, they look and say, you know what, that makes sense, because we do get upset. We do get mad, And I'm like, let those kids that's watching you see that you can play the game as a man and not have to retaliate, because they're going to do what you do. So what your son want to do, what you want your son to be out there fighting when you don't want them to fight. But if they see you get upset and mad, they're going to do the same thing that you do. And so from that point, I know within the time that when some people started learning that I was coaching team, some of my guys went out and said, oh, man, I got this woman coach. She's a good person. She do this and I can't stuff, but she don't. And I tell my guys, in order for you to play for me, you cannot use profanity. If you do, there's consequence coming behind that. I said, we don't fight. If you do, there's consequence coming behind that. And if it gets to the point where that you, even though you are good, I cannot have a person on this team that's going to embarrass me, my God, and the organization that we're playing with. We don't want no one to say, here comes the Memphis Soul King. They like to fight. They like cussing. You don't want a reputation like that. You want a person to see that you have a reputation as being playing like sports like. And that has been the philosophy ever since I've been coaching as far as the men is concerned, so they can understand we want to be different.
We will be back with more Alondray Rogers, continuing her testimony and discussion about her X's and O's, from a coaching perspective, and also the way that she mentors young men on the Lance J Radio Show.
You You are listening to the Lance J Radio Show on Advent Sports Network.
We are back on the Lance J Radio Show. I'm here with Alondray Rogers. She is talking about the various activities she's involved in the sporting realm in the Memphis, Tennessee area. Her work with the Overton Park Seventh-day Adventist Church. Her young men at Overton Park are the current champions of the South Central Basketball League. She's also talking about her work with the Memphis Soul Kings, who are a semi-pro basketball team out of Memphis. Tell us a little bit about your area. Memphis, unfortunately, in many ways, has a very bad rap. It's kind of infamous throughout the country for being an area that there are a lot of troubled young men. There's unfortunately a lot of crime there, a lot of drug activity, a lot of gang activity. You're right in the heart. Overton Park is right in the heart of kind of some of those territories. I'm very familiar with your church. People like yourself, Pastor Hines, Sister Fedora Ruggles Stewart. You guys are doing awesome work in that community. But talk to us about the climate there and how it can be a little bit rough to mentor some of the young men where it's a really difficult area, kind of similar to some of the things you've seen in Baltimore and some of the things you see in Gary, Indiana, and other communities that have a poor reputation, rather accurate or inaccurate, but just a poor reputation nationally as dangerous places where black males particularly are literally being hunted and targeted by the media, by the police, by everyone. What is that dynamic like?
It's something that you mentioned that, and the thing about what you just said is that my church is right in the heart. We call New Chicago, and that's all you hear is about drugs and different things like this. So the thing that I was trying to let my young people know is that you do not have to fall in for what society wants you to do. Because you live in New Chicago, that doesn't mean you have to be what they say you want to be. Show them that you can do something different besides just being a person that's out there playing ball and you have to use profanity. Show them that even though you are from this community, you have some good in you, So this is with the basketball. This basketball, you'll be surprised at who will see you playing this game. And because they see who you are and where you're from. And they're going to okay, I thought this is what they do in this community. He's nothing like that. It's because you're showing them that you don't have to be that person. And like you just said, you with my Memphis Soul King team, I said there is a stigma behind Memphis that we are arrogant. We don't have to be on the first 48. Let them see that we got something good going on in Memphis. Now, we have some people we can control, but you can only control yourself. So The thing about it is that I'm going to show you that I'm different than anybody else. Because majority of the time, especially with the basketball, at one point I was like, okay, Lord, why basketball? This is not bringing nobody to Christ, more or less, right? But that's what my thinking was. I have a young man right now that lives in Walker Home. He grew up with nothing but gangs and drugs and different things, and he's 24 years old. And so the 2 seasons he's been with me, he's called me. He said, Coach, I want to thank you because you have shown me so many different things compared to people that I associate myself with. Because every time he played a game, he's always fighting. He always wanted to get in front and argue with someone. And so I'm teaching them because every time, I pray with them every day when we practice, for the protection and work for the attitudes and different things like that. And if I forget to pray one day, Coach, you got to pray. And I said, now you notice they see what you're doing. And they're not going to step foot on the court until they pray, and we pray afterwards. So it's what you do. They go by the leader that you have. So in anything that I do, I'm always asking the Lord to work with me to make sure I can be an example for someone. And so for a man that's 24 that tells me that means, okay, Lord, I give praise to you because you stay with me and he see that part. And he's changed tremendously. And everybody's man, he's reading books. He's doing this. And all he do is talk about the Soul King. All he do is talk about you. And so I'm it's not me. It's just God using me to do what I need to be doing for him, even if it's through the basketball. And now some of them come to church with me every now and then. So that's a plus because at first they wasn't even thinking about it. So that's one thing I can say. Even though we are in an area that is, everybody will be afraid to come in, everybody is not of that caliber of what other people are doing. It's just that they're giving them a chance, and they take that chance and try to be better for themselves instead of what society wants them to do.
You are listening to the Alondray Radio Show on Advent Sports Network.
And I have several people that are joining me this week. Two of them are new to the show. Guy and Alexis, a very good friend of mine, a sports aficionado, particularly of all things New York, but he will add an excellent flavor to the conversation. I have Wintley Phipps, who is a staunch Golden State Warriors fan, and then I have Alan Bozeman, who's previously been on the show, who is, Mr. Cleveland, Mr. 216, Ohio against the world. I wanted to bring these three gentlemen in to kind of talk about the NBA Finals, talk about LeBron versus Steph Curry, the backdrop, and really let these three run wild. So I'll let you start, Alan, since you've been on the show. You kind of came on a few weeks ago talking about the buzz in the city. That was before Cleveland had clinched and before they had actually won the Eastern Conference. What are things? What's the buzz right now with LeBron kind of being on the precipice of pulling this off? Hopefully,
man, it's actually a buzz that's unfamiliar to me as a native Clevelander and someone who's rooted for Cleveland sports teams all my life. Typically, your typical Cleveland fan is a little nervous about being in this position and a little apprehensive and really not counting their eggs before they're hatched. But I was at the best place to kind of determine and get the mood of the city this past Friday, and that was at my local barbershop. And not one person in the building thought we were going to lose. Everyone was confident that we're going to win this thing. The most common prediction was that we're going to take it in 6, but there were even a few people, and I'm not even going to act like I didn't consider this myself, but even considering the possibility of a sweep. That is high.
Wait, I'm sorry. Sweep. Are we talking about the finals right now? Are we talking about the NBA finals?
We are talking about the NBA finals featuring the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors.
So some people in the Cleveland area, their consensus is it will be a sweep.
Look, this is the logic, man. We want it more than Golden State. There's no city, no team, no organization, franchise, whatever you want to call it, that wants this win more than the city of Cleveland and the Cleveland Cavaliers in particular. We are hungry. We have the best player in the league. We've been the best defensive team in the playoffs. We haven't won in 51 years in any sport. These guys in Golden State, don't get me wrong, they're great players. Their time will come, but their time isn't right now. We're coming for the neck, and we coming to get this crown.
I got one stat. The Warriors are 44-0 when holding teams to under 100 points.
Well, good luck holding under 100 points.
If you don't score over 100 points every single game, you will not win against the Golden State Warriors, period.
Well, that was the case during the regular season and during against these chumps in the West. But the Cavs have been the best defensive team in the playoffs, even better than Golden State, because I know Golden State was the best defensive team during the regular season. But in the playoffs, which is the real season when it really matters, the Cavs have been the best defensive team. So I don't think we're going to need 100 points every game to beat Golden State. I think we're going to hold Golden State under their normal numbers because we have the long athletic defenders like Shumpert, LeBron, J.R. Smith to contain.
Shumpert?
Yeah, he's a defensive specialist.
Man, I would love to see Shumpert on Curry for more than 10 minutes. That would be great. That would be very entertaining.
How about I bring a little bit of objectivity? I think a sweep is just a little bit far-fetched. I'm just being honest. I mean, as somebody looking at it just from an objective view, because I'm not a fan of either team. I'm not a fan of Golden State. I'm not really a fan of Cleveland. I'm a native New Yorker, as Luke said. I love my Knicks. Me looking at it on paper, I'm going to just throw out some things that I think other things that you should kind of think about. Golden State as a team has a deeper bench. And for me, the longer the series kind of wears on, so if Alan mentioned maybe 6 games, if it's a 6-game series, I kind of have to give that edge to Golden State. If it goes 6 or 7, I give Golden State that edge. Only because, he gave Dwight Howard that work last series. And another point I want to just kind of bring out is that he said the chumps in the West, like Golden State, didn't beat quality teams. Cleveland had a very easy path to the finals. I mean, Chicago was probably the hardest team that they faced, and Chicago kind of gave up because they just kind of, Cleveland came to play in that game 6.
Well, they gave up because their heart was taken.
I know, but you guys played I'm saying the problem because it's stupid Atlanta. None of their teams really matter to me. The Hawks, a team that if John Wall had been healthy in the Eastern Conference semifinals would not have been there. So, they won 60 games.
I agree with that.
They won 60 games in the East. You play more Eastern Conference teams. The East is weak, which is why LeBron has always opted to stay in the East because he knows that he has an easier path to at least have a chance to win a chip each year. Let's not make it seem like the Warriors' path was way more difficult. Playing the Grizzlies and beating them.
Well,
no team that Cleveland has played has been on that level, in my opinion.
Okay, well, let's analyze it since you said their road was so tough. The first team they played was a brand new, spanking new team in the New Orleans Pelicans. That was their first competition, the New Orleans Pelicans. That was the first team they played.
All-NBA player in Anthony Davis.
Doesn't matter. As a team, they had no experience whatsoever in the playoffs. Their coach just got canned, so that tells you what the franchise thought about him.
You are listening to the Lance J Radio Show on Advent Sports Network.
What was the build-up like as far as the way that your team has been built? Many people that listen to my show and just across the country, I live on the West Coast, so I've seen a ton of Golden State games. I've seen more Golden State games than I've seen Cavs games this year. But how did you guys build up to this crescendo that you have right now? A lot of people don't realize Golden State isn't a team that's actually been knocking on the door the last 4 or 5 years. They've really just gotten extremely good extremely quickly. How was that?
For me, honestly, it goes back to how the team has been built and how they ran the team in the past. They've always been a guard-centered team. When Golden State had Baron Davis, that whole beating Dallas, when they won the 8 seed beat the 1 seed, that for me was just rec league basketball. They had no chance to win the championship that year, but it was a great run. But after they started getting coaching and Mark Jackson and everybody started coming over, I honestly thought Mark Jackson was going to be the key. But the way they sent him really got a lot of people discouraged. But after Steve Kerr came in and showed you what happens when you run plays with guys like that, it kind of took off. It kind of took off. And they had to make a lot of controversial moves. They had to get rid of Monte Ellis. They had to get rid of other similar-sized guards because we were stacking the guard position. And a lot of people didn't believe in those moves. But now, it's MVP, Coach of the Year, best record ever.
Jump shooting team, which has never proven to win championships. Let's not forget about that either.
Number 1 defensively and offensively. Only lost 2 games at home the whole year. Never lost 2 games in a row the whole year. It's really, really, really phenomenal to run their own right now. No one wants to talk about it because, of course, LeBron is in their way. And LeBron is a great player. The problem with LeBron is he has the same level of respect for Golden State that I think Golden State fans have for LeBron, not Cleveland, not the Cavaliers, just LeBron. We don't respect.
So we don't care if you guys don't respect guys like J.R. Smith, who's probably going to light you up for at least 6 or 7 threes in 1 or 2 games in the series. We don't care if you don't have respect for a guy like Iman Shumpert, who's going to lock down. And I'm not saying he's going to completely contain and lock up Steph Curry, but he will put some very good defense on Steph or Klay Thompson, whoever he's on, because he's a great defender. You don't have to respect Timothy Mozgov, a guy who was kind of forgotten and lost in Denver. Now he comes to Cleveland and looks like almost a borderline all-star center. You don't have to respect a guy like Dellavedova, who's been fighting for respect his entire career, who's been called a dirty player simply because he hustles in the playoffs. You don't have to respect Tristan Thompson, a guy who we got a lot of heat for drafting at number 4, who people said was never going to be any good, who people like my man Ken Moore says he doesn't understand why he's on the 6th Man of the Year ballot. These guys are showing you why you're going to have to respect them. You don't have to respect them now, but when Tristan Thompson's grabbing 15 boards on you guys and Mozgov is putting balls back in your face and Iman Shumpert is frustrating Steph Curry and Curry Thompson.
To watch J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert play alongside Carmelo Anthony, can you give us some insight to what the two of these individuals bring to the table?
I mean, they're actually very good players. You see their level of play being elevated, but that's because they're playing with LeBron. And as much as I like Carmelo is not even in LeBron's league. I mean, so you put him with a better player, with possibly one of the, top 2 or 3 greatest players ever. Of course they're going to look better. Shump is still a great defender, but I think in this offense with Cleveland, you see him hitting, jumpers and scoring a little bit more, but that's because the opportunities are there for him. LeBron draws so much attention that he sometimes kicks it out to Shump, and Shump, shoots, whereas in New York, Melo just kind of did what he wanted, and maybe he'll pass you the ball. It's kind of like that Kobe mentality a little bit, just kind of, if I don't trust you, you're just not going to get the rock. But they're both very good players, very capable. At the time, my only concern when they first got, especially J.R. Smith, was I was just hoping that he wouldn't be a cancer to Cleveland like he has been in previous stops.
Yeah, I thought that was inevitable too.
Yeah, he's kind of his own dude. He kind of does his own thing. But, it's one thing that I've always said to, anybody that'll listen to me about sports. Winning cures everything. So it's kind of like, when the Bulls were playing back in the day and Jordan and Pippen at times hated each other. But when you're winning, that doesn't matter. Right. I mean, if you're winning 60, 70 games every year and you're playing for a chip, who cares if I don't like you? As long as we bring home the hardware, that's all that really matters. And so I think it's kind of a similar situation with J.R. Smith in Cleveland. He's never, been in a situation where he's been in the NBA Finals. So for him, he's willing to do anything, no matter if he's not getting along with everybody on the team. That's fine. I do think that Cleveland benefits from Kevin Love being hurt in the fact that Tristan Thompson is a better defender. He makes them better defensively as a team, and so when he's in the game. And so I think that has kind of really helped solidify their defense that Alan was talking about, which has been truthfully the best in the playoffs so far. But my only concern moving forward is Shump and J.R. Smith are the X factors for Cleveland. Can they slow down the Splash Brothers?
And that's actually an awesome segue. I'm sorry to cut you off, Ian, but that's actually an awesome segue. Wintley, again, kind of voiced what I was about to ask. When you break down that series, I wonder, Steph Curry is an excellent player. I don't think we've ever seen someone that could shoot the three so well off the dribble. We've seen great three-point shooters, the Ray Allens, the Reggie Millers, but in many ways they were screen shooters. Whereas Steph Curry also has one of the elite handles in the NBA. Him and Kyrie Irving, who's also in the finals, are probably the 2 best ball handlers in the league. But Steph Curry has the ability to shoot anywhere from 35 feet in. Do you think, however, he's not a very large man, do you think that they can put LeBron on them? Do you think that they can slow Steph Curry down by giving him a physical pounding? Although the West is a superior division to the East, I don't think anyone would question the superior conference. I don't think anyone would question that. The East is historically a more physical conference. Do you think that Cleveland could put a physical package together that can intimidate and physically harass Curry?
Yes, I think you could physically harass Curry with the right team. The problem that I see with that is people oftentimes disrespect the rest of the four players on the court. Draymond Green, to me, is the X factor for the Warriors. If he's doing well, if he's being physical, if he's talking that talk, as they say, he brings a lot to the team. It doesn't show up in the stat sheets, and I believe that you really can't slow Curry down. There's just no way. Right now, the zone he's in, the streak he's on, there's just no slowing him down, and his team knows that. They're not going to allow him to just get physically beat up without taking some shots back. That's just how I feel. I feel if Cleveland tries to get into a running game with Golden State, it's over. Cleveland's only hope is to slow it down to a half court. Let's just, take all the time. Classic LeBron. Take 8 seconds off the shot clock. Just chill. Wait for the defense to collapse and make a decision. But I don't see that happening that much. Every single time they try to key in on the Splash Brothers, it just has not worked. Even when they take both Curry and Clay off the floor, the bench comes in and confuses the whole scheme because once you take them off the floor and still try to press up on the point guard, they kill you. Our bench kills you. So we will see. We will see.
But, Alan, I think a key component here is Kyrie Irving healthy, and can you win with Kyrie Irving at 50% if he's not healthy?
See, the way my analysis goes on this is I would love to have Kyrie healthy for an entire series. But the way things have played out thus far, we've seen that even when he had a week off between our second-round series in the Eastern Conference Finals, he came back that first game, and he played one game. He couldn't even get through the first game, and he was hurting again. I mean, the reality is, up in the night, it takes time. But I like what I saw in the last game that he played. I like the fact that he thought it was important enough for him to get out there and that he could play. And he played well. He had 16 points, I believe, in like 20 minutes or 21 minutes or something like that. And so I don't think we need Kyrie at 100%. If we had Kyrie at 100%, I would be really arrogant and I would probably call it sweet. But we don't have Kyrie at 100%. So, and if we had Kevin Love, I would get even more arrogant. But
some of my listeners would think that you were arrogant in general.
Oh, please.
6. I'll let you make your prediction, and then Wintley, I'll let you have the last word.
Surprise for me. Surprise.
Honestly, I'm gonna go with Golden State. And it's not really because I don't think that Cleveland has the heart. I just kind of think Golden State is going to be a little bit too much for Cleveland to handle. They're kind of undermanned right now, which does not work in their favor. Like Alan said, if Kyrie Irving was at 100%, my prediction probably would be for Cleveland, but he's not. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go that far. He said he'd be more arrogant with Kevin Love in the lineup, but I just think they're better with Tristan Thompson, honestly. And if you want me to be more frank, I don't think they need to re-sign Kevin Love. I just think that Tristan Thompson brings back. I agree. He's that good of a player. I really believe in that kid. I've been watching him this playoffs, and I like him. But I just kind of think Golden State just has too much. It's like Fitz said earlier. Steve Kerr actually, they actually run plays, whereas before they were just kind of, it's like they're playing rec ball, running street ball. They just do whatever they want. And you can see a difference when plays are called both offensively and defensive sets. I think Draymond Green is a serious key to the series because of his defense. He's able always to guard guys that are much taller than him because he's only like 6'6". And he's been dealing with big bodies all playoffs, especially in that Memphis series. That's when I started to gain a lot of respect for him. He was, not to say, Zach Randolph, people was giving him them elbows, leaning into him, but he held his own. And I don't think Tristan is anywhere near the physical imposing presence that Zach Randolph is. I just got to give the edge to, I just say Golden State in 6. Sorry, Alan.
They got to win in Cleveland, man. They got to win in Cleveland.
Well, I think it's my turn. And we do have a home court advantage, which says if you win every game on your home court and we win every game on our home court, it's coming back to Golden State. I don't see you winning multiple times at Golden State. Now, on the other hand, I don't see you holding us from beating you on your floor. I just don't see it. I see Golden State in 6. I see us winning 4.
You are listening to the Lance J Radio Show on Advent Sports Network.